Assalamu alaikum and hi everyone. Today I will be delivering a presentations on chapter 5, focusing on the risk of unsecure system. Okay, the learning objective of this chapter is first, the student have to discuss the risk of insecure system and be able to explain about the risk management. Okay, first 5.1 of this chapter, risk of an insecure system. Securities, what is securities? The security is something that allows a system and its user to verify identities of entities such as user and system services, and then safeguard the sensitive information such as the personal data, password, etc. So during the storage, transmission, and use. Okay, so then what is insecurity? So the insecurity is informally called as a absence of securities. So the computer system resources, including external shared resources, such as the network, are all vulnerable to attacks. So vulnerability is mean that the potential of an intended use, a result of a software bug, design oversight of error, misconfiguration could lead to tangible and intangible damage. So, okay, now let me see this. Okay, the overview of internet risk. If you can see this figure, it aims to illustrations the complex and diverse risk present on the internet. It highlights the presence of both genuine and malicious actors and how their actions can impact real businesses, customers, and the overall cybersecurity landscape. Okay, so let me see. Okay, what is risk? So risk is the possibility of experiencing loss of confidential data, destruction, generation or misuse of data or program, resulting in physical, mental, or financial harm to another party and potentially damaging hardware. And then okay, the threat, on the other hand, refers to any entity or factors, whether internal or external, no, foreign or domestic, stated, sponsored, or independent, possessing the ability, technology, opportunity, and intent to the cause harm. So identifying and understanding risk and threat are crucial for implementing effective security measures to protect against potential damage and safeguard sensitive information and resources. Okay. Okay. If you refer this, the bar chart here from 2017 to 2021, because if you can see that over the last 5 years, based on this, graph, the IC3 have received an average of 552,000 complaints per year. So this complaint address a wide array of internet scam affecting victims across the globe. According to estimates from the Statista Cybersecurity Outlooks, the global cost of cybercrime is expected to surge in the next 5 years. So this is because as more and more people turns online, whether for work or their personal life, there are more potential opportunities for cyber criminals to exploit. So at the same time, tackle techniques are being more advanced with more tools available to help scammers. So the coronavirus or COVID-19 pandemic saw a particular shift in the cyber attack as the report analyzed, explained that the COVID-19 crisis lead to many organizations facing more cyber attack due to the security vulnerabilities of remote work, as well as the shift to the visualized IT environments, such as the infrastructures, data, and network of the cloud computing. Okay, and if you see this, the bar chart of 2021 Internet Crime Report, this is the top 5 crime type comparison, because according to the report by FBI report on the Internet crime, more than 300,000 Americans fell victim to pitching, wishing, and smishing attacks last year, making it the most common type cyber securities. For the last few years. So making it the most common type of a crime, the cybercrime, with identity theft and confidence fraud also high on the list of common offenses. Protecting personal data from getting into the wrong hand is a crucial thing in the fights against online crime. Okay, let me see this. Okay, the report we regard the top 20 international victim comparison. So they're compared to the if you see the rest of the company compared with the rest of the country compared to the United States. If you can see from here, Japan, Turkey, Malaysia also in the list. So they are based on the top 20 international beating country that you can see now. Okay, and then okay, so internet associated risk. So internet associated risk pose a threat to customer involving various aspects. False and malicious website can deceive user and expose them to scam or no malware. So there is a risk of a customer data theft from selling agent and internet service provider, ISP, who might mishandle or misuse sensitive information. So the concerns related to privacy arise from the use of cookies, which can track user behavior and raise privacy issues. So understanding and mitigating these risks are crucial to protect customers and their data, fostering a safer and more secure online environments. Okay, so the figure illustrate the process of internet cookie when a user, the client, visit a website host while surfing the website. During the user initial visit to the website assign a unique identifier, identifiers, no as the cookie ID to the user browser. So a subsequent visit to the same website, the website access the cookie containing the user cookie IDs. Okay, so internet associated risk can significantly impact selling agents. Customer impersonations and false ordering technique can lead to financial losses and damage to reputation. Deny of service and distributed denial of service attack can disrupt online services, affecting business operations. So data theft and breaches can result in substantial financial losses. And average cost of data breach increased globally in 2022 onward. So it was reported that the global average total cost of data breach increased by USD 0.11 million to 4.35 million USD in 2022. So there is increasing every year. So if you see the figure, it shows that the type of deny of service seen attacks. In this scenario, there are two entities involved, the senders and the target of the attack. The attack takes place in three steps. Step 1, step 2, and step 3. Okay, so the internet associated risk in the context of maintaining and security present significant challenges for organizations. For example, the United States Postal Services (USPS) face difficulty in managing, security across its vast networks of locations, network and employees. So many firms do not report security incidents to the authority due to fears of negative publicity or competitor exploiting the information. So sabotage by the former employee is the perceived risk and threat from the from the current employees, such as unauthorized access are prevalent. So internal control system, may be lenient on top managers, creating potential vulnerabilities. Negligent hiring is a significant risk factor, and organizations are advised to conduct background check and credit check to mitigate a risk associated with the new hires. So to address these challenges, organizations must prioritize cybersecurity measure, establish robust internet control, and foster a culture of security awareness and responsibility among employees. Okay, so the internet associated risks include also the threat from the current employees, such as the use of sniffers, which are programs that monitor and analyze data, potentially capturing sensitive information transmitted on network. Sniffer can be used both legitimately and illegitimately by posing a security concern for organizations. Okay, then financial fraud, defined as the international act to deceptions involving a financial transaction for purpose of personal gains. Okay, then intranet, intranet associated risk include the threat from the current customer by downloading of data. So unauthorized access and copying of data can be reduced through user access control tables. And then email spoofing, email activity in which the sender address and other parties of the email header are altered to appear as thought the email originated from different source. Okay, if you see this figure, actually it represent a scenario where business transaction data is being transferred between trading partners. So the data transfer is facilitated through three types of network: intranet, extranet, and the internet. So intranets are private network within an organization. Extranet are extensions of intranet that allow limited access to external party, and the internet is the global network accessible to the public. Okay. So, in terms of the data breaches and cyber attacks, one of the primary risks is the potential of data breaches during a transfer process. If adequate security measures are not in place, hacker or unauthorized individuals may intercept or gain access to sensitive business transaction data. So this can lead to the exposure of confidential information, financial loss, and reputational damage. So what are extranets. So extranet, a group network that connect business partner and allow a higher level of data sharing across corporate boundaries. So they are facilitate collaboration and communication between different organizations, mixing their corporate cultures and system of controls. However, the weakest link in an extranet is often the employees, which access to the network and an encrypted data store on the web server. So organization must prioritize security measures to protect against potential vulnerabilities and data breaches in extranets. Implementing a strong access control, encryptions, and security awareness training for employee can help strengthen the overall security of extranet and safeguard sensitive informations. Okay, so risk associated with the extranet business transaction data transfer between trading partner. So because the use of the extranet for transferring business transaction data between trading partner can expose organization to various risks. These risks include data interceptions, where sensitive information is captured by the unauthorized party. The lack of message origin authentications and make it difficult to verify the source of messengers, potentially leading to the acceptance of fraudulent data. So without proof of delivery, the sender cannot be sure if the message reach its intended recipients. Moreover, the lack of the verification of message integrity can result in data corruption or tampering. So unauthorized viewing of message can occur if access control and authentication mechanism are inadequate. And lastly, ultimately, delivery of messages can disrupt business process and impact decision making. So, to mitigate the risk, organizations should implement strong encryption, access control, authentications, and data integrity measure, regular security audit, and employee training on data security best practice are also essential to ensure the security and reliable transfer of business transactions data. And then the risk associated with the confidentially maintained keyword master file and reference data, includes several potential vulnerabilities and threats. So weaknesses is in firewall architecture or functionality can allow unauthorized access to the data, compromising its confidentiality. So the destructions of data may occur due to accident of deliberate attacks, leading to data loss and operational disruptions. Additionally, alteration of data poses a risk to data integrity and can result in incorrect or misleading information being used. So unauthorized use of data by individual without proper authorization can lead to data misuse or exposure. Furthermore, the alteration of application used to manage and access the data can introduce vulnerabilities and potential security breaches. To mitigate this risk, the organization should regularly review and enhance their firewall infrastructure, implement robust backup and disaster recovery procedure, and enforce strict access controls to limit data access to unauthorized personnel only. So the continuous monitoring and security assessment are essential to identify and address potential weaknesses in the system and protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the confidential keyword master file and reference data. Okay, this figure is illustrations about the firewall control, whereby they have a few level, first level, second, the firewall level 1, firewall level 2, and the access control. So the internet go to the web server and transactions data and access control to the most sensitive data. Okay, okay. So the viruses and malicious code overflows. So the virus and malicious code are malicious programs that replicate themselves and act as unauthorized parasite and legitimate programs or macros. So they are perform unrequested and destructive acts, posing significant threat to computer system and data. So the viruses can infect various components, including both sectors, executable files, and macro template or macros. So they can activate immediately at a later time or gradually over a period, making them challenging to detect and mitigate. So by protecting against viruses and malicious code require implementing strong antivirus software, keeping software and operating system up to date. So, and exercising cautions, when downloading or executing files to prevent infectious and potential damage to the computer system. Okay, there are various types of viruses, each with distinct characteristics and impact on computer system. First one, the Trojan horses. These viruses do not replicate, making them harder to detect. They are attached themselves to similarly legitimate program or file and can perform malicious actions when activated. So then second is the hoaxes. Hoaxes are typically spread through email, agreeing receipt to forward them to other. They often contain false information or claim, causing unnecessary panic and clustering email system. And then the third one, actually, the buffer overflows. This virus, exploits vulnerabilities in the resources handling section or operating system, such as writing too many characters into a buffer array. And this can lead to computer crashes and potential security breaches. So my computer being crashed. Okay, then, this virus and malicious code pose significant threat to computer system and data. Viruses have this capability to replicate themselves and spread across numerous computers, originally transmitted through sharing floppy disks. They now primarily propagate over the internet, often referred to as worms. In addition to viruses, other malicious programs such as Trojan horses, trapdoor, and logic bombs may be installed manually or in a single machines or built into widely distributed commercial software packages. So these type of malicious code are difficult to detect before their harmful payload activate. Protecting against viruses and malicious code required robust cybersecurity measure, including up-to-date antivirus software, firewalls, and user awareness training to prevent infection and safeguard computer system from potential damage and security breaches. So regular software update and best practice for safe internet use are essential to maintain a secure computing environments. And then if you refer this figure, the chart, these two categories represent a distinct type of malicious program based on their behavior and the way they propagate. Malicious program that need a host program like Transtor, Logic Bomb, Trojan, and viruses often rely on user interactions or vulnerabilities in software to infect and spread. On the other hand, independent malicious programs such as bacteria and worm have the ability to propagate autonomously without requiring a host part, enabling them to spread quickly and widely. Understand this category, help security experts and researchers develop a defense strategy and countermeasure against different type of malicious software. Okay, so this is the definitions. If you can see, virus actually is a code that copy itself into others' program. A bacteria replicate until it fill all this space or CPU circles. Payload harmful things the malicious program does after it has had time to spread. And worm is a program that replicate itself across the network. So actually it's usually writing on email messengers or attached document, example like macro viruses. And then in terms of the Trojan horse, actually is the instructions in an otherwise good program that have a different and hidden purpose, sending your data or password to an attacker over the net. Logic bomb, malicious code that activates on event, example date. Trapdoor or backdoor, undocumented entry point went into a code for debugging, then can allow unwanted user. And then Easter egg is the extraneous code that does something cool, a way for programmers to show that they are control the product. Brabic is compare bacteria, a virus or worm that replicate without bound with the intentions of its housing some computing resource. Okay, so what is the macroviruses? So the macroviruses are a type of malicious code that can infect Microsoft Office application, taking advantage of the ability to include macros in document. So these macros can execute automatically when the document is opened and triggers by the specific commands like save file. So the virus are platform independent, meaning that they can infect documents and various operating systems. Once infected, macrovirus can perform a range of harmful actions such as deleting files, generating and sending email, and modifying later. To protect against macroviruses, users should exercise cautions when opening, attach, or downloading files. Keep antivirus software up to date and disable macros or enable macro security setting to prevent unauthorized execution of macros in document. Vigilance and awareness are vital in mitigating the risk posed by macro viruses and ensuring the security of Office application and their associated documents. Okay, let me see the web server overflow problems. So a web server overflow problem arises when a web server becomes overwhelmed by receiving more requests than it can effectively handle. So this usually occurs during period of high traffic or oversubscriptions to the server. The consequences of the web server overflow problem include slow response time, error when accessing the website, and in several cases, the website crashing, ensuring that web server are adequately scaled, optimized, and capable of handling peak traffic is crucial to avoid overflow issue and maintaining a smooth and reliable website performance for visitors. Okay, the incomplete mediations actually is referred to security flaw when sensitive data remains exposed and uncontrolled due to insufficient validations of user input in an application. For example, if an application accepts incorrect for extensively large data from a user, such as in a buffer overflow scenario, it can lead to potential security breaches. To prevent this, the program should validate user input, checking its length before writing it is to a buffer. So failure to implement proper input validation can result in incomplete mediation, leaving sensitive data vulnerable to unauthorized access or manipulation. So the implementing complete mediation by the thoroughly validating user input is essential to safeguard sensitive data and prevent security vulnerabilities in application. Okay, then we goes to the next subtopic of this chapter is about risk management. Okay, so risk management is the methodology for assessing the potential of future events that can cause adverse effects. Systematically identifying, analyzing, and addressing potential risks to minimize their impact on organization objective, project, or operations. So it involves a structured approach to managing uncertainty and threats, as well as opportunity, to proactive and strategic manner. Okay, so control weaknesses versus control risk. Control weaknesses is when a risk is present, relevant control are missing, and the cost of the control for that risk is less than the expected benefit. And then the control risk is the uncertain expectations that the cost of the risk relevant control would exceed the expected benefits. And then residual risk is the inherent risk that will always exist due to unpredictable events. Okay, so the figure, can you see now, is the now illustrate the inherent control risk, represent the baseline risk that exists when without any control in place. The organization identify clear weaknesses in red, it is in control, which are areas that require immediately attention and improvement. So the security gap, you can see in the green color, signify area where the organization current control do not fully meet the requirements set forth in the security policy or industry best practice. So this misalignment may be due to the lack of resources, inadequate implementation, or involving security threats. However, not all risks can be fully eliminated, or mitigated, especially if the cost of implementing additional control exceeds the potential impact of the risk. In such case, the organizations may decide to accept an allowable level of risk, you can see now in white, and focus its resources on mitigating higher priority risks. Okay, so then it goes to next slide. Okay, human aspect of internal control. And social control are the internal control placed on human employee and stakeholder. Culture management is the management system of social control. Major human risk is bad judgment, error, fraud, and virus damage. And then the accessibility social control create new risks, inefficient operation, reduced flexibility, excessive control costs, and negative cultures. Okay, so characteristic of good risk management control. First is actually is redundancy, combining passive and active, formal and informal, preventive policy and audit. Second is the consistency, policy models by management, supported by redundant control. Clearly written policy that are widely communicated and enforced, fairness in perceptions and application across individuals, not too detailed, not too restrictive, not a replacement for trust in employee, helpful rather than adversarial or punitive, a two-way communication channel for risk is accidents and opportunities, and supportive of valid organization learnings. Okay, now you can see now there is many organization has approached now security risk management by adopting the following reactive approach whereby a process that respond to security event as they occur and then second one is the proactive approach, the adoption of process that reduce the risk of new vulnerabilities in your organizations. Okay, so if you see this figure, actually it represents the risk management paradigms in the context of the communication networks. It illustrates the systematic approach to managing risk within the networks and five key steps involving the process actually is identify, analyze, plan, monitor, and control. If you go to the first process, um, identify in this first step, the organization identify risk specific to the communication network. These risks could include potential vulnerabilities, threats, and weaknesses in the network infrastructure and operations. And then the risk identifications involve conducting a comprehensive assessment of network components, including hardware, software, protocol, and potential external threat. The organization may also consider the risks related to data security, unauthorized access, and potential service disruptions. And then the second one is the analyze. The analyze. After identifying the risk, the organization proceeds to analyze and evaluate their potential impact on the communication networks. Risk analysis involves assessing the severity and likelihood of each identified risk. For example, the organization may evaluate the consequences of data breach and network outage or a cyber attacks by conducting a true risk analysis. The organization can prioritize based on their criticality and development appropriate risk response strategy. And then the third one is the plan. Okay, the plan. In the planning phase, the organization focuses risk management strategy and action plan to address the identified risk within the communication network. The risk mitigation strategy may involve implementing security measures, escalations protocol, access control, and other safeguards to protect data and network resources. So the organization outlines specific steps to implement the risk response strategy, assign responsibilities to relevant stakeholders, and set timelines for their executions. And then the fourth one is the monitors. The monitoring phase involves a continuous observation and tracking of the communication network risk management activity. Regular monitoring allows the organization to detect changes in the risk profile, identify new risks, and evaluate the effectiveness of existing risk control. And then the monitoring may involve a real-time threat detection and network performance monitoring and regular risk assessment. And the last but not least is the control. The final step is to control and update the risk management activity to ensure the ongoing effectiveness of risk mitigation effort within the communication network. So this includes refining a risk management plan, modifying control measure in response to emerging risks, and improving a security protocol based on a lesson learned from a past incident. By exercising proper control, the organization aims to maintain a robust, secure communication network and ensure its resilience against potential threat. So the risk management paradigm in the context of communication network provides a structured approach to identify, analyze, plan, monitor, and control risk effectively. It helps organizations proactively manage potential vulnerabilities and threats, safeguard data and network resources, and maintains the reliability and secure of their communication and infrastructures. Okay, so the risk management paradigm depicts the different activity involve the management of risk associated with the software development. The paradigm is represented by the circles to emphasize that risk management is a continuing process, while the arrow shows that logical flow of information between the activities. Communication is a place in the centers of paradigm because it both the conduit through with all information flow and often the largest obstacle in risk management. So the paradigm is a framework for software risk management. From these frameworks, a project may structure a risk management practice best fitting into a project management structures. Okay, and then the natural business recovery plan. So the natural disaster include things such as floods, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, floods, landslides and hurricane. And then the natural disaster, as a matter of fact, there are incidents where it's important to expand on some of this natural disaster in order to ensure that this case of any eventually you are well prepared. Okay, then okay, in terms of business recovery plan, make disaster, man-made disaster, this can be divided into different categories, and there include technological hazard, sociological hazard, and transportation hazards among others. Man-made disaster, error or as a result of failed system. Okay, objective of disaster plan. Disaster plan, the objective of disaster plan actually is to prevent the risk reductions, minimize business destruction and guarantee business continuity, alternative security model of internet access, recovery of lost data, provide disaster recovery procedure, employ training for disaster recovery scenario. Then what are second site backup alternative? The second site backup alternative actually is a crucial component of an organization disaster recovery and business continuity strategy. It's involved creating and maintaining a duplicate and secondary site that can take over critical app operation and services in the event of disaster or major destruction at the primary site. And then the goal actually is the primary goal of implementing a second site backup alternative is to ensure that the continuous of essential services and operation event in the face of unexpected event that may be cause downtime or data loss at the primary site. And then the testing and drill to ensure the effectiveness of the second site backup. Regular testing and drills are essential. So organization conduct tests and drills to simulate various disasters scenarios and recovery processes. So these exercises have identified and addressed any potential weaknesses or issue in the backup and recovery processes. By conducting drills, staff members are trained to respond effectively during the emergency. And then 24-hour recovering objective. So the many organizations aim for the 24 hours recovering time objective. Which means that they want to recover critical services and operation within 24 hours of disruptions. So this objective ensures that the organization can resume essential functions promptly, reducing the impact of downtime and their business and customers. Okay, mutual aid pact. Mutual aid pact is a collaborative arrangement between different organizations or companies to provide support and assistance to each other during emergencies of disaster, right? In the context of disaster recovery, company with access capability and compatible platform come together to offer resources, aid, and services to help each other in their recovery efforts. Okay, so we goes to the next slide. Okay, what are the second site backup alternative? The cold site and uh, create the ship. So the cold site, also known as the crepe and ship, is a type of disaster recovery strategy that involve leasing or maintaining of empty or minimally equipped facilities. So in this approach, an organization set up a secondary site that lacked the necessary computing infrastructure, data, and system to immediate operation. Instead, it remains inactive or has only basic facility. And then the second one is the hot site and remote mirroring. A hot site is a disaster recovery solutions that involve maintaining a fully operational and ready to use secondary site. The hot site is equipped by with a necessary hardware, software, and data, ensuring business continuity is the case of disaster. In case of disaster. So okay, that's all for now. So thank you. Bye bye.